Hey everybody, Coach Lee here. It's a great day to be in the endurance cycling world in America, particularly the ultra cycling world. Matthew Lefthand, who stormed on the scene back in February of 2025 in Sebring for one of his first major events. Just finished up his season this last weekend, yesterday, as a matter of fact, going after several world records everywhere from 100K all the way to the 12-hour on a recumbent. He found a great loop. He got it certified. He got a team. He got the judges, the officials, the crew, everything, and he rocked it out. So this is actually the data. Matthew is amazing in that he shares his data with the public. He shares his training with the public. He shares his wattage with the public, power, all that stuff. So all this is public. Everything that Matthew does, he just puts it out there for all of us to look at and to discuss. All right, so we want to talk about, this is the 12-hour. Now, this looks confusing as heck. We're going to go through this whole thing. But before we get to the 12-hour, again, this was Matthew's last big event of the season. He had an amazing season. So let's go and just do a quick recap of his TT season. Remember, race across the West, he has the course record on that by several hours. If I remember correctly, he would finish, faster than anyone else before and just destroyed expectations on Race Across the West. He does Hoodoo 500. Again, he destroys all the records on that, which he himself held from the previous year. So he has had an incredible season, including his event in Sebring, including his 24-hour indoor virtual TT challenge, and then to cap it all up with this 12-hour. So let's go through some of this data. So here's Matthew. This is when he comes onto Sebring. And right off the bat, he gets 574 miles and he stays on the bike for 23 hours and 49 minutes in Sebring. But this 574 miles was huge. They really didn't know who had the previous best time, and we think it was Amanda Coker, who she is over 500 miles for the 24-hour TT. So he destroys the American record. So he's still a little bit ways back behind the ultimate world record held by Christoph Strasser. But with this 574 miles, he totally sets a new record and shocks everybody. So this was February of 2025. This was his first public event that he'd ever done, a 24-hour TT, and blows everything up. Myself included, I had several athletes in this race, and I was live tracking the whole thing, and I just kept saying, who's this Matthew Lefthand? By golly, he's going out hard. And I just kept saying that. When's he going to pop? When's he going to pop? When's he going to pop? And he never popped. And just really shook everybody up. I made a whole dedicated video just to that event and breaking it down. So you can look that up if you're interested. But again, 574 miles, 233 watts. So all fantastic. Then comes back 2 months later, gets the virtual 24-hour TT world record from everything, again, from 100K all the way up to 24 hours. Several Guinness Book of World Records. This was a fantastic event because he has to have all the judges that are there. His power trainer is all calibrated. They calculate his CDA, so they make it as realistic as possible. And so this was a really serious event. And so on this event, he got 658 miles. The big thing here was 273 watts for 24 hours. So for a 24-hour record attempt, that is a monster number. It shows what a special athlete Matthew is. I mean, for instance, you take me. There is no way, there is no workout, there is no training plan. If someone gave me $1 million to do nothing but train, there is no way that I am going to get close to that for 24 hours. Okay, so this was a really special event, and that's 273. When we go through all this data, a couple things that really sticks out to me. So that's his power, that's his speed, that's his cadence. But for this, I mean, this is a virtual world, so miles are what they are. The outdoor world record is set at 6:37, I believe. So that's the outdoor world record held by Christoph Strasser. But that 273 was amazing, and his pacing strategy. So those are the two big things that I love about this, is that he starts off his first 4 hours at 277 watts and he ends at 275 watts for his last 4 hours. So he just keeps even pacing for 24 hours. That is brutal. I just made a video, and again, you can look that one up. It'll be in the notes. But it's all about race pace, your 24-hour TT threshold, if you will. How to identify it, how to build it, how to extend it. And that indoor virtual ride, it's being written up into a case study right now for publication in a scientific journal. But it is an amazing accomplishment. So that brings us to the 12-hour TT. So he got 318 miles on a recumbent. The road bike 12-hour is held by Christoph Strasser at 330 miles. So this is a recumbent at 318 world record. This is the world record for the road bike. Matthew was somewhere around 245 watts. He had his crank length not set correctly in his head unit, and so that created some difference with the watts, but he was really honest. The power was like 280, and so then you do some math, and that gets him around 245, which he published on his Strava file. But Strasser had 280 watts for his 12 hours. And then in that 12 hours, he was at 26.4 miles an hour, and Christoph Strasser was 27.56. And he pretty much essentially just stayed on there the entire time. Now, why do I like these numbers so much, and why do I focus on how close or how far he was away from Christoph Strasser? Because Americans finally have a guy that can take Christoph Strasser down. We have a guy who can get the world record outdoor solo non-recumbent road bike world record. And that is pretty fantastic, because Christoph Strasser, obviously, he's a legend. He's just an incredibly monster of a rider with this huge aerobic engine. And, you know, these athletes, when they have this massive engine, they're going to go use it in the pro peloton. They're going to go use it to get a contract somewhere and you know, make some money riding their bikes, racing their bikes. So it's rare for these guys that have these monster engines to want to throw it all into the ultra world, where the sponsorship dollars are not as fluid and as frequent as in, say, the pro peloton or something like that. So I love this, you know, thinking about Strasser, because we have a guy, you know, in Matthew Lefthand that can right now go out and get that world record on the road. He just needs a great weekend. He needs a great course. He'll have a great crew, all that great stuff, and he can do it. So I took out the power data because we're not quite sure what it is. It's somewhere around 245. But here's another great example of pacing. And so, when we go into these closed circuit TTs, you can, do positive pacing, which is basically going out too hard and dying 1,000 deaths to get to the end, where you start off harder and faster and you end softer and slower. Even pacing, where your watts, your speed, everything is just a straight line. Or negative splits, where you start softer, easier, and end harder, stronger. So your first half will be slightly easier and slower than your second half. So those three strategies are the way to go. And Matthew shows us once again, not only in his 24-hour virtual ride, but on this ride, is that he is the master pacer. So let's look at these numbers. So this is his speed. So the first 4 hours, 26.8 miles per hour. His last 4 miles, 26.7 miles per hour. That is consistent. There's no fall off. And that takes some real skill, right? Because you have to identify that. You have to identify your watts that you can hold for 12 hours. And you do that you can do it with some math, but you really have to do it in training, and you really have to understand your body, which Matthew does. Amazing at it. Shows amazing dedication. His cadence, the first 4 hours, averages 70 cadence. His last 4 hours, 72 cadence. And so in 12 hours, we're seeing no neuromuscular fatigue, no central nervous fatigue. And so is Matthew Lefthand doing the training for this kind of events? Absolutely. He is fit. So let's look at the heart rate. So this is his heart rate. For the first half, 132, and the second half, 134. So we have no cardiac drift, essentially. And so, his power, his speed, his cadence, everything for 12 hours is just a flat line, meaning that he chose a great strategy. He left it all out there at the end, but he chose a great number to start at, all on the recumbent, and all after healing from a broken collarbone a few months ago, and just kind of things like that life throws at you. And so is Matthew Lefthand doing a great job? Yes. Is he really an exciting force on the American ultra scene? Yes. Is he an exciting force for the world ultra scene? And the answer is absolutely yes. So Matthew, if you are one of the few people to make it to the end of this video, thanks so much for putting your data out there. Thanks so much for putting your time into this sport. It is an absolute beautiful sport, and you are rocking it out. And there are people that I talk to, myself, athletes that I coach, we love looking at your data. It is a beautiful thing to see, and we will see you in 2026.